Welcome back to The Grind. In this video, we're going to talk about how to play Professor X. Now, Professor X is a great champion on his own, but he also has some great synergies, especially for mutant champions, but some of them do rely on the number of persistent charges that Professor X has, and he only gains those by winning fights, so you do have to play him even if you want him for synergy purposes. Now, Professor X relies on gaining channeling charges, and as you can see, once we cross 25, we get a vigilance buff, which means we can counter, miss, and evade champions, which he actually is a very good option for those fights because he can very easily access 25 channeling charges, even in stun immune matches. But if they're not stun immune, you can just parry, charge your heavy, and release it. So you want to build up to 100 of these channeling charges, and then the goal is to build your power up to a special 3, especially once you have ramped him up and have multiple persistent charges. You can see we currently have 4. So now we're just building up power to get up to 3 bars of power, at which point we want to charge our heavy first because that's going to make us channel. And when you interrupt channeling, then it gives you an extra prowess. So you can see we start channeling here by charging the heavy attack, then we interrupt it with a third special or a special 3 attack. Now, when we come out of this, we're going to have 4 prowesses from the 4 persistent charges plus 1 extra one because we interrupted a channeling with a special attack. So you can see we have 5 prowess there, and we have gone into mind control. During mind control, the opponent cannot gain power and cannot use special attacks even if they do have power. Now, after the special 3, you can either dash in to close the gap or charge your heavy and interrupt it with your special 2 attack in order to get an extra prowess. After each of his special 1 and special 2, he'll go into channeling, and if you attack, dash, or use a special attack or heavy attack during that time, you'll get a prowess. Now, if you use a heavy attack to channel and then throw your special attack, you'll get 2 prowess because when the special attack ends, you start channeling, you interrupt it with a heavy attack. Once it starts to channel after a short delay, then you throw your special attack, interrupting it yet again for a second prowess. If, however, after a special attack, once the channeling shows up, you dash back, it will refresh all your prowess to the full duration. I typically recommend doing your dash back and refreshing the prowess at the end of each mind control cycle, and then sometimes, depending on how fast you can build up your power and channeling charges, it might be useful to throw a special 1 in the middle of building up because it also gives you more channeling charges, but it also gives you an opportunity to refresh your prowess between build up to your special 3 so you do not lose them. Now, here is an example of how power control can be very damaging for Professor X. You lose a bunch of your channeling charges if you get power drained in some capacity by an ability, node, or an attack. Now, here is how you can use your falter to build up extra channeling charges with safety, and then release your heavy attack at the end of their combo or throw off a special attack. And sometimes before you lose your prowesses, you want to, even at the start of this mind control phase, dash backwards to refresh whatever prowesses you have. And you can see I was a little slow and therefore I lost some of them. So you want to be as cautious as possible in the really long fights so that you do not have to lose your prowesses. And here is another example of that. We're coming out of our second special 3 and we're about to have 9 of our prowesses expire. So we throw off our special 2, and then after we start channeling, we dash backwards to refresh all of those prowesses and then start another heavy attack, wait for the channeling, and then throw off another special attack to interrupt it and get another prowess. And then you repeat the same cycle, channeling with the heavy attack, waiting for the channeling to appear, and then throwing off your next special attack and continuing the cycle. And you can even refresh your prowesses again at the very end of your last special attack. And you don't always have to go up to your special 3. In fact, after the first special 3, I would recommend stopping with almost 3 bars of power, and that way you can get off a couple special 2s back to back before you get down under into the 1 bar of power range. Another very fun and cheesable thing to do with Professor X is to throw on a mutant power booster so that after you throw a special attack, you earn back power. And because your special attacks cost less to begin with, you can get so many special 2s and special 1s off back to back and just keep filling up that power bar. And in some situations, you might have endless special attacks during that mind control phase. And so this can be a very good option for a difficult path for you, but one that Professor X works for, and you can just completely blow through through that path without any difficulty. Now, Professor X is an excellent evade and miss counter because once he's above 25 channeling charges, he cannot miss and cannot be evaded. So he's great for an opponent like Mordo because you can parry and then still attack through the parry, because he'll try to evade and remove that parry stun, but he won't be able to evade it. So he will still shrug off that parry as soon as you attack him, but your attack will not miss. So he's a great option for Mordos. However, in this particular fight, there is also a power drain node every so often. And every time we lose power, we will also lose channeling charges. So it will be difficult to maintain enough charges as well as to build up to a special 3 or a special 2. And here's an example of throwing a special 1, and then you get a bunch of channeling charges as well as you start channeling afterwards, so you can continue to build up more. And you see there, we just lost a bunch of our channeling charges. So it's not too difficult to maintain enough to allow you to counter the evade and miss, but it's not letting us get up to 100 in order to get into the mind control phase. So we can get our channeling charges up pretty high, and you can actually end a combo with a light attack in order to trigger the mind control phase. So you could do it early, but here you see as soon as we're power drained, we lose a bunch of our channeling charges. So it makes it a little bit more challenging. Of course, if you ended with a light attack and went into the mind control phase, you could start throwing off your special attacks. And here, just again to showcase that the evade will fail as long as you're above 25 channeling charges. Now, with Professor X, you are also immune to reverse controls. So if you struggle with those nodes, or with those champions like Emma Frost here, you can just have immunity to reverse controls with Professor X. So whenever she throws off her special attacks, you do not have to worry about reversing your dash and your evade, as well as the most recent Gwen Master fight that was released has a mind control phase, and you have to worry about switching your controls back and forth when she throws off her special attacks. But if you bring Professor X, that is not something that you are going to have to worry about at all. So Professor X has a lot of utility. He has the potential to build up a ton of damage, especially in longer fights. He can build up multiple buffs for things like buffed up, and he can control power to some degree, but he has the great utility of countering evade and miss, as well as being immune to reverse controls and having that falter mechanic, which comes in handy as a failsafe, as well as a mechanism to gain intercepts in certain situations. He is also an amazing champion unawakened. He does not require the awakened ability to be an incredible champion. He is incredibly fun to play, and his animations are also very unique and interesting. So I hope this video was helpful. Good luck, and I hope to see you in the next video.